All right, here we go. Let's take a look at 2.2. Next section, we're going to add and subtract these real numbers. So now we know what integers, rational numbers, whole numbers are. We're going to practice adding and subtracting them. So a lot of this is going to come up on our back to basics and our review and things like that. So hopefully you've seen this before. We're going to go through it quickly to make sure we're good with it. If you need extra help, see Mr. Sullivan. I almost call him Mr. Corvin. Mr. Sullivan, Mr. Kelly. And they can give you extra additional help, or myself, and we can get you going on this. So let's talk integers. So remember, we've got these positive or negative whole numbers. Let's go ahead and start adding them. So we're going to throw negatives in there. So what happens here? Negative 5 plus 8, what are we really doing here? Well, the negative means we're losing it. So it's like I owe $5, I got $8. So what do I end up with? I end up with 3. Let's pretend you're terrible at these things. You just never clicked. We'd love for you to go back and learn it and have it, and we can help you do that. If you're in a pinch for time and whatnot, the calculator will hook you up. You just have to be good with the calculator. So we're going to show you how to use the calculator to make sure you're good at it and make sure your answers are the correct answer. So the negative button is right down here by the decimal. So if you go negative 5 plus 8, does the calculator agree with me? Sure, there it is, positive 3. Excellent. So very nice. So the next one, like I think negative 2 plus negative 10 more. I'm getting more negative. So really, if I owe $2, then I owe 10 more dollars. I'm going to owe $12. Let's make sure the calculator agrees with that. Negative 2 plus negative 10, negative $12. So calculator is a great tool in this case. We got them in class. You can use them in class, or you can have the rules. It's always good to double check. Decimals, the rules are to line them up. You know, I want line up by the decimal, or really I'm just going to go straight calculator on this. So in this case, when I have decimals, especially when they get trickier than this, it's just too time consuming really to line them up and do it. I can do them quickly with just typing them in. So decimals are awesome. Plug it in, boom, 13.7. I'm good to go on that. So 13.7. And same thing with the negatives. You know, here it's really a subtraction problem. Negative 2.6 plus 7.8. But just type it in as you see it. Negative 2.6 plus 7.8. Boom, we are good to go. 5.2. So 5.2. Oh my gosh, there's an awful looking file. Let's try again. 5.2. So really decimals, boom, I'm going to go straight calculator. The one that I'd really like you to know are these fractions. This I would like for you to actually make sure you're good to go on. Decimals, whatever, we're going to go calculator. But fractions are nice because they just keep coming up and coming up. They're always there, and it's good to understand these versus just do them, but I'm going to show you both. This one's nice and neat. You know, fractions, if I want to add this 3/4 plus 5/4, not a problem. These are like 3/4 plus 5/4. How many do I have total? Add them together, I have 8/4. Awesome. And this bar in the middle means divide. The fraction bar means divide. So what is 8 divided by 4? It's really just 2. So that is a fantastic one right there. But now check out the next one. What is 2 plus 7/8? Oh, can I add these? Well, technically this is a fraction. 2 is a fraction. Every number is what? It's over 1. And that's huge. Everything is divided by 1. Anything divided by 1 is itself. But can I add 2 plus 7/8? No, why not? Let's come check this out. What is going on with fractions? Why are they so tricky for some of us? Well, I like to think of it as a dollar. Here's a dollar bill. It's made up of 4 quarters, so we're good with money and we're okay with that. So what does it look like here? If I just take this $1 bill here, or divide it up without the picture, here's 1/4, 2/4, and this is 3 4/4. So I've got these 4 quarters of these 4 parts of the whole. 1/4 is what? It's this shaded region right here. So here is a 1/4, or 1/4. So I can add it to 3/4, or I can add it to 5/4. But can I add it to 3/8? Well, not really, because they're not equal. Let's think about what is an eighth. Well, an eighth is really, divide this thing into 8 different pieces. Holy cow. And this is not in your notes. You can just chillax and kind of watch this. Excellent. So now I took this dollar bill and divided it into eighths. Now we don't have real money that divides it into eighths. But what is 3/8? Well, 3/8 would be, here's 1/8, one of these 8, 2 of these 8s, and 3 of these 8s. So I've got 5 8s unused here, 3 8s here. That makes the whole. This is divided into 8 parts. Can I add these? No, they're different shapes. Look how fat this block is, and these are little thin blocks. I can't add them unless I do what? What do I have to do to add these? Well, I have to turn my fourths into 8s. Can I turn these into 8s? Sure. I could divide all these blocks in Now fourths turns into eighths. How many eighths do I have? Well, I have an eighth here, and I have an eighth here, so what do I really have? I have 2 eighths. So 1/4 is the same thing as 2 eighths. They reduce. 2 eighths reduce it is 1/4. That's why. It's these two make that 1/4. So now can I add them? Sure. I've got this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. So how many total eighths do I have? 2 eighths plus 5 eighths is how many? It is 7 eighths. And if I wanted to, I could just drag these down into here. I could fill them in. Add those on there, and you can see that this really becomes 5 eighths. So that's why it has to be a common denominator, because they're not the same size without the common denominator. So let's go back to this. Can I do 2 plus 7 eighths? Sure, not a problem. I just have to get a common denominator. So what's the common denominator here? Well, this is 1, this is 8. I need to turn this guy into 8. So what do I got to do? I'm going to times the bottom by 8. Whatever you do to the bottom, though, you got to do it to the top. So times that by 8. So really, this keeps it equal. Multiplying bottom by 8 is cool only if you multiply the top by 8. So you got to do both. So 8 times 2 is 16. 8 times 1 is 8. And then I can leave this alone because now they have the same common denominator. Denominator is the number at the bottom. Here's my rule at the bottom. They have the same common denominator, or the bottoms are the same. Now I can add them. 16 eighths plus 7 eighths. 16 plus 7 is 23 eighths. Let's say you're not so confident and you want to check your work. Not a problem. Let's do it. Can the calculator do it for me? Sure. What was my original problem? It was 2 plus... Now, where is the fraction button? Well, we're just going to type it in. Fraction means division. This is 7 divided by 8, so I'm going to put it in parentheses just to be safe. It's 7 divided by 8. So there it is. There's the problem. 2 plus 7 eighths. Hit enter. Oh, it gives me that. Is that right? It is right. 2.875 is the decimal form, but if you notice at the top, I said when you start with a fraction, you got to end with a fraction. So to bring it back, if you come up here to the math button, right below the alpha, it says math. And the very first one, frac. Math frac. I love the math frac. It really just means fraction. So we got math frac, hit enter, and it's going to take your answer and turn it into a fraction. It's magic. 23 eighths. So the calculator will do it. In fact, the next one, let's just go straight calculator. So I've got negative 2/5, so I'm going to go parentheses, negative 2 divided by 5. Now I'm going to close the parentheses. That's my first fraction. So negative 2/5 plus 3/4. And again, I'm going to go ahead and put it in the parentheses. There's 3/4. So this problem right here is this right here. Now hit enter. That is the correct answer, but what do I got to do? I got to math frac it. Math frac. And when I hit math frac, it tells me it's 7/20. Awesome. So 7/20. Could we have done that by hand? Sure, not a problem. What's the common denominator here? Just to practice. What's the common denominator here? Well, 5 and 4 both become what number? Well, if you don't know, you can times them. 5 times 4 is 20. They both become 20. So let's turn this into 20. 4 times 1 is 20. Well, 4 times 5. But if you do it to the bottom, you got to do it to the top. So times the top. That keeps it equal. So 3 times 5, 15. 4 times 5 is 20. So that's my second one. Over here, let's do this. What do I got to do? Well, 5 times what? 5 times 4 is 20. And whatever you do to the bottom, you got to do it to the top to keep it equal. So times that by 4. So 2 times 4 is 8. 5 times 4 is 20. But be careful the negative sign. Bring it down. You can put the negative in front, the negative on top. I usually think of that negative number on top. It can be top, bottom, or front. It doesn't matter. So now, it's just like one of these problems up here. What is negative 8 plus 15? Because they have the same common denominator, same bottom. Negative 8 plus 15 is 7. And what are we talking about? We are in 20ths. This is 7/20. So the calculator did it. I'd love for you to be able to do it by hand. That's a great skill to have, and it helps out later on. Awesome. What about mixed numbers? Oh my goodness, mixed numbers. Mixed numbers are just fractions. Really anymore, we're not going to write mixed numbers. They're just kind of hard to work with. So we're going to turn them back into fractions. So let's take this mixed number and make it a fraction. So how do we do it? Well, we take the bottom here, 4, and we times it by the 2. 4 times 2 is 8, plus this 3 on top. So here we're multiplying, then we're going to add the top. So 4 times 2 is 8, plus 3 is 11. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 3 is 11, and that is 11/4. And if you think about it, it makes sense. 2 and 3/4, well, how many times does 4 go into 11? 4 goes into 11 2 times. What's left over? We've got that 3 parts left over. So 2 and 3/4 equals 11/4. Same thing here. We're going to go 4 times 1 is 4, plus the 1 on top is 5. So we've got 5 fourths. Oh, check it out. Now can I add these? Yes, they have the same bottom, same common denominator, so I can add them. 11 plus 5 is 16, and it's 16 fourths. Does that reduce? Sure. What is 16 divided by 4? It is 4. Can the calculator handle mixed numbers? It can, but you got to be super careful how you type them in. Normally what I would do is turn them into the fractions and then just do it. 11 fourths plus 5 fourths. To try to type it in the other way is tricky. It's confusing. So I would say, okay, take a mixed number, make it a fraction, 11 fourths, and then we're going to add it to what? 5 fourths. So really, if you can turn a mixed number into a fraction, you will be good to go. Calculator will hook you up. And look at that. It told me the right answer right off the bat. I don't have to math bracket. Excellent. Very good. So that is adding. We've done all the numbers. We're going to deal with integers, decimals, fractions, and mixed numbers. Make sure you get that rule. And we're adding them. Very good. Can we go to subtraction? Let's do it. Subtraction. Oh my goodness. Subtraction. Subtraction can get a bit tricky. Because now we've got these negatives with negatives. We're subtracting negatives. So this one, yeah, it can be a little tricky.
Very vital to rock around. That's right, on time. It's tricky. To rock around. That's right, on time. It's tricky. It's tricky. To rock around. That's right, on time. It's tricky.
All right. So, little known fact about Mr. Sullivan, Mr. Kelly, and Mr. Brust. Before we were math teachers, we actually had a little band going called Math DMC, a little song called It's Tricky. It was all about math. Turns out it was all about fractions and decimals. That's back when I had a gold tooth, and Mr. Kelly always wore his shades. And look at the bling on Mr. Sullivan. I wish he'd wear that to school one day. Ask Mr. Sullivan if he'll bust that out and wear it in one day. That would be fantastic. We didn't make it, but then I think somebody remade it. Some band remade it. It got a little bit bigger than when we did it. So it's tricky. I'm not going to lie. It's subtraction. All right, here we go. So now that we realize it's tricky, let's double check to make sure we're good to go on these. So integers, I'm feeling pretty good. Negative 10 minus 7. I owe $10 minus 7 more. I think I'm going to be here at negative 17. Again, if you're not feeling comfortable with integers, double check them. I want you to have right answers here, so the calculator will do it. What is negative 10 minus 7? Negative 10 minus 7. Boom, it is negative 17, so I am good to go here. Here's the part I was talking about where it gets a little bit trickier. When I have this double negative, negative 6 minus a negative 9, you can't minus a negative. It's like saying I'm not never going to do something. If you're not never going to do something, it means you will do it because you're not never going to do it. It's just like subtracting a negative. So really, some kids sometimes say this is change. It's negative 6. Really, that means negative 6 plus 9. So negative 6 plus 9, well, negative 6 plus 9 is 3. I owe $6, pay it off 9, I'm 3 positive. Excellent. Very good. How about this one? Decimals, 5 minus 7.2. I like this one because you have $5, you lose 7.2. What happens? You go in the hole. $2.2. Again, decimals, though, usually I'm just going to say, hey, calculator. For a decimal, 5 minus 7.2. Boom, good to go. It is negative 2.2. And while I got the calculator up, let's do the next one. I've got this double negative here. Don't like the double negative, so I'm going to go change. And this really means 6 plus 9.5. Oh, I don't need a calculator for that. I should just add them. 6 plus 9 is 15, so I've got 15.5. If you want the calculator, use it, but it should be 15.5. Awesome. Moving on to fractions. Let's take a look at fractions. I like this first one. Why do I like it? The bottom's the same. So same rules here with subtraction. There's 7s, 3 sevenths minus 5 sevenths. So what is 3 minus 5? 3 minus 5 is negative 2. So I'm looking at negative 2 sevenths. And the last one here, classic. Negative 2 fifths minus 5 thirds. People all the time say, what's the difference between the negative and the subtraction sign? Well, not really anything. They mean the same thing. You're going in the negative direction. So here's a negative sign, here's a subtraction sign. They look exactly the same. They mean the same thing. We've got the negative direction going on. More importantly, though, we need a common denominator. So what's the common denominator here? Well, between 5 and 3 can both become 15. So to make it 15, I'm going to times this guy by 5. Whatever you do to the bottom, do it to the top. So on top, I've got 5 times 5 is 25. On bottom, 3 times 5 is 15. That was my goal. And then over here on this one, what makes this 15? I'm going to times it by 3. Whatever you do to the bottom, do it to the top. So 2 times 3 is 6. 5 times 3 is 15. And keep the negative sign there. It's negative 6/15. So subtract these. Sure, I'm getting more negative. Negative 6 minus 25 more is more negative, so I'm at negative 31/15. But again, calculator will do it for you. Calculator can handle it. I'm looking, how do we type this in? I'm looking at, let's clear this out, 2/5, and it's negative, so negative 2/5. Remember those parentheses, they gotta be around your fraction. I'm going to minus the original problem said what? 5/3. So put in parentheses, 5 divided by 3. Fraction just means divide. Hit enter. Holy cow, look at that crazy decimal. But remember, you start as fraction, I want to end a fraction, so we're gonna math frac it. Math frac. And we get negative 31/15. Perfect. And the finale, here we go. So it's mixed numbers are really just fractions. And 2 is a fraction. So again, really I can write 2/1. I've got this double negative. Boo. So I'm going to go change. And I'm going to change this mixed number to an improper fraction. So I'm going to say 8 times 3 is 24, plus the 7 on top, 31. So 8 times 3 is 24, plus 7, 31. I get this. If I was going to do this without a calculator, what would I have to do? I'd have to get that common denominator. And again, where's the common denominator here? It's all over 1, 2/1. So now I get a common denominator, or I'm going to go ahead and just go straight calculator on this one. It's saying 2 plus, this is going to be 31/8. 31 divided by 8. So if you can make a mixed number fraction, no worries, you're good to go. I get this number, but I'm looking for it as a fraction. So last time, math frac, boom, 47/8. So if I put this here, 47/8, and I am good to go. Fantastic. What I'd like you to do is try some on your own. How do you do with this? Jot these down, try them all, pause it, make sure you pause it, and then I'm going to put up the answers. Or really, you've got your calculator, you should be able to tell me the answer. Good luck. All right, excellent. All right, I was just kidding about the whole Math DMC thing. It's actually a great band called Run DMC, old school, love it. This is what Sullivan, Mr. Kelly, and myself listened to as we were growing up. Good stuff here. So here's the real band and the real song. Good luck on the master check. Peace out.
My recital, I think it's very vital to rock around. That's right.
On time.
It's tricky.
Here we go. It's tricky to rock around. That's right. On time. It's tricky. It's tricky. Tricky.